I'm about to read Violet Thistlewaite is Not a Villain Anymore. Which, like, look at this. Isn't this gorgeous? Like, it kind of feels busy, but at the same time, like, the mix of the colors and just the way that the title is just so intriguing really draws me in. And it's honestly the purple for me that made me want to read this book. And if you've noticed that I have a frog, unfortunately not this frog, in my throat, it's very annoying. Please subscribe and that will hopefully cure me of my cold. So I have pretty decent expectations for this book. I don't think it's going to be like mind-blowing. I'm going to predict it's going to be about 3, maybe 3.5 stars. I think that it's going to be cozy, and I think it's going to be on par with the kind of story that Legends and Lattes was, which is like a cozy fantasy kind of story. And I think that there's going to be some funny moments, and I think it's mostly just going to be entertaining and kind of like a brain cleanser book. So from my understanding, our main character, Violet, was basically like the second hand to this big villain guy. And she's like, you know what? I think it's time to retire. I guess maybe he took over the world or something. I don't know. But she ends up retiring, and then she ends up kind of like owning half of this greenhouse where she just spends her time growing plants. And she does have like a semi-murderous plant as well. That's kind of like her pet, I guess. But she really just spends her time taking care of these plants and really just establishing herself in this community, not as a villain, as just as another person in the community who loves to grow stuff. And everybody seems to like her except this alchemist. And he basically owns the other half of the greenhouse that she's in as well. And he doesn't like her. I think he knows about her villainous past, something like that. And they have these grudges, like, always fighting each other. So, seems like rivals to me. But then there's this like, I wouldn't say plague, but like something that like sweeps the land, and I think it destroys a bunch of plants and stuff. And so these two characters, the alchemist and the former villain, have to team up to basically figure out what's going on, because I imagine it's some magical kind of plight or something that has, you know, ruined the community, and they love this community, so they have to work together and fight against their growing feelings for each other, which is just right up my alley. So yeah, without further ado, let's just crack this book right open. Oh, but wait, we know the drill. This has a dust cover, and that has to come off before I can read the book. So I really, like, I would be shocked if this book is not purple underneath. I think it's going to be like this, I'm thinking maybe this shade. No, I'm going to go with this shade of purple with like this blue on like the spine. And then it's going to have that Book of the Month stamp because that's where I got the book from. So let's open it up and find out. Excuse me, they missed an opportunity here. Why did they make it so blue? They did the colors completely backwards. It should be a purple book with a blue spine. Like, this is jarring to me. Wow. Well, I'm surprised, a bit disappointed. But these are my two favorite colors, purple and blue, so I mean, I can't be too disappointed. So let's read this book for real now. So I'm a little bit more than 100 pages into Violet Thistlewaite is Not a Villain Anymore, and here are my thoughts so far. This is a cozy book. I don't expect, honestly, like, much to happen, but like, in a good way. Does that make sense? Because this is just like a fun, fantasy, cozy book about a witch who used to be a villain, but honestly, it seems like she was pretty much like coerced into being a villain, because like, she was found by a villain when she was like very, very small, and he basically like was like her dad, and you know, she wanted to, you know, be a good surrogate daughter kind of vibe. So where we're at right now is we have 2 POVs in third person, and it is Nathaniel, who is a former alchemist and currently runs the apothecary shop, and then there is Violet, who is former villain, now wants to open up her flower shop. So Violet's character, like I mentioned, was a villain. She did a lot of bad things because, you know, that was kind of the circumstances. When she's offered a path forward to be good, she does take it. And she does it to figure out, like, what do I want to do with my life? Like, what does a happy, good life look like for me? And to her, because she's like, her magic allows her to grow flowers and plants and all this stuff, she's like, I'm gonna open a flower shop and I'm gonna be good. And the flower shop is basically like, half the greenhouse is for her flowers, the other half is for the apothecary, because she is renting from a set of twins. They are losing money, their parents passed away, there's like debts and stuff going on, so they need to get money, like income, in another way, and that's how Violet ends up living there. And so stuff is just like divided in two. And then this is where her encounters with Nathaniel come in. Nathaniel was an alchemist, and he went to go follow his dreams and stuff, and then he ended up coming back, I think after his parents passed away, and took over the apothecary shop, which he does not like doing. He wants to be an alchemist, but he has like this like family like obligation to do this, even though it's not going well. And then he also has his twin sister Prue, who occasionally helps, but she kind of does like these performances, like dances and storytelling and stuff in like the town markets and stuff. So these are our three main characters. There's also a cute dog that we met, which was cute, named Daisy. And so Nathaniel's the kind of guy who's just like, he's so scholarly that he kind of comes across as really rude and like prickly and stuff. So any interaction he has with Violet, who is doing her best to be like a good person, just like leaves everybody feeling like, ugh, what the heck was that conversation? But Nathaniel has the biggest crush on Violet, and like you see him just like, he's like watching her, he's like, oh, she's so cute, like she's so pretty, so nice, it would never be. And then he tries to talk to her and it's just like a disaster, which honestly is really fun. I really like that. It's cute, it's fun, it's cozy, and I like that he just has this crush on her and she's completely oblivious about it. And so we're just kind of following these two characters as they're kind of, you know, doing their own business things, but then they came across this like weird, gooey, yucky stuff. And this is where the story is going to start, I imagine, because now that we kind of know our characters, we have our setting and stuff, they are going to look into like, what is this kind of like rot, and can we get rid of it before it like grows even more? They have to find out. They'll have to do it together. So yeah, pretty much where we're at. It is cozy and warm and really is given that kind of like Legends and Lattes kind of feel. So it's great. It also just started snowing outside, so great time to just curl up with a cozy book like this, turn on the fireplace, and just hang out. So I'm going to continue to read this book, and I'll update you around the halfway mark, so I will see you then. So I'm definitely more than halfway through. Violet Thistlewaite is not a villain anymore, and although the book, very predictable, and I keep thinking about how I just want to read a different book, I do enjoy it, which is like, I feel like I'm contradicting myself because I'm like, I keep thinking about another book, and sometimes the writing in this book can be a bit repetitive, a bit basic and predictable, but it's just cozy, and so I like it. It's really cool to just see like the magic and get to know the community of Dragon's Rest, as well as just see somebody who was once a villain try to discover who she is. And I think that it's cute and it's warm and it's fuzzy, and like the crush that Nathaniel has on her, I think it's just like, I just love when a guy pines. Like, he needs to pine, he needs to be like, oh my goodness, this person is everything for me. And I thought that the spicy scene in this book was honestly pretty good. I really liked the setting of it. I liked just like their interactions with each other, but I definitely do feel for the character about like what's gonna happen in the climax, because like, you know, you can't run away from your past forever. And so with me caring about that obviously means that there's something about these characters that just kind of like grips the heartstrings, but it's like one of those books that I'm not gonna be yelling off the rooftops about. And that's not really the point of a book like this. A point of the book like this is to just like have a good chill time, some warm and fuzzies, enjoy some magic, and just like, and I think that these are the books that I honestly struggle the most in trying to explain, because like, if you know, you know, but if you don't, you don't. But I am enjoying the book. I am looking forward to
reading another book, The Bridge Kingdom #2, now that I have it. But honestly, I think if I wasn't so just like thinking about a different book, then I would be like, oh my goodness, like there's some cute stuff happening here. But like obviously there's cute stuff happening. It's a weird time for me. So yeah, I'm gonna continue to read this book and I'll update you when I finish it. So I will see you then with my final thoughts.
Under moonlight, dancing slow, stars above, they start to glow. Heartstrings pulling hearts below. Feel the beat.
So last night I finished Violet Thistlewaite Is Not a Villain Anymore, and honestly I think I liked this book more than I thought I did, but it also met my expectations at the same time. Does that make sense? I feel like this whole book review is like a mess. I think I probably would have liked this book even more if, I mean, honestly, it feels like I was like cheating on this book because all I could think about was how badly I wanted to read Bridge Kingdom, and I think maybe I just wasn't in the right mood to read a book like this, because I think it is better than I think. It's cute, it's cozy, and honestly, it did surprise me at times. There was definitely a lot of predictable moments, and I was like, yeah, that makes sense. But there were other parts that weren't predictable at all, and like the characters were cute, the magic was really interesting. I think that the world itself was really cool and well done. And like the journey of Violet's character, because something that I kind of clocked a bit early in the book, I was like, you know what, for someone who just retired being a villain, she's pretty good at thinking about like what the reality of stuff is like. It's like she's been through therapy or something, but like that part makes a lot of sense the deeper you get into the book. And I found that as I got deeper into the book, the better it got, because like there was a lot of stuff that we are continuously learning, especially about Violet and also about Nathaniel. But Violet honestly stole the show. I think that she was just such a realistic character and was a really good portrayal of somebody who was basically taught a certain way to how to behave, how to think, and how the world works. And then you see her kind of discover how the world works now without anyone whispering in her ear. And I think that was really good. I really liked her character, I think. And like the moments that she had of just like, oh my goodness, like the mental breakdowns that she would have, and just the way that her mind would tell her things about what she thinks other people are thinking, it was really well done. The more I think about it, the more I'm like, wow, that was a good character. Because she had a lot of flaws and she had a really great just character arc overall. And I loved following her. I think Nathaniel's character as well, he wasn't as good of a character as Violet, but I did like him. I liked him as a character. I liked the way that his mind worked and the way that like mistakes were kind of holding him back from reaching his full potential. And so I think he was a good character, and all of the side characters were really good as well. And the plot was surprisingly like good too. I thought that this story was gonna be like way more like low key than it was, but there was this really good fight scene. Like at the end, they're like throwing potions, like stuff exploding, like all of that. And I was like, oh, that's pretty solid. And like you can really visualize what's happening in the book. And I'm a sucker for the type of magic that was done throughout, and like how all magic has consequences. Like it just doesn't come from nothing, and that relates to like magic, but also like alchemy. There's got to be a balance. So yeah, definitely like kind of reflecting about the book, it was pretty good, to be honest. I think it was better than I thought it was, but when I was reading it, I just wasn't really in the mood to read it. And that's one of those times that you should figure out, like, do you want to put the book aside and read a different book and go back to it? I would recommend doing that, but for me, if I put a book aside, I never pick it up ever again in my life. So I just kind of put myself through it because I knew I was gonna like it. Does that make sense? Because like my advice, of course, is if you don't like a book, just drop it, DNF it. But this wasn't like a DNF book. I just wasn't in the mood to read it. But then when I did read it, I was like, it was good, but I was just thinking about a different book. So yeah, overall, pretty decent read, and it was cozy and magical. So today we are going to be awarding Violet Thistlewaite Is Not a Villain Anymore a total of 3.5 stars. Like I mentioned, I think it actually is better than 3.5 stars, but like I've mentioned 100 times now in this review, like there was a lot of different things happening with me. Like I was sick when I started this book. Like I had a cold. it was really hard for me to get through like a lot of pages, so I kept on stopping and starting and stopping and starting, which instantly like makes it harder to really get into a book. I've just been also so busy after work. There's just like stuff coming up. I'm like, why is there always stuff coming up? And also like from having my cold, wasn't going to the gym, like none of that stuff. I was just like real tired and weird feeling for like the entire week. So it took me a little bit longer than honestly it should have to get through the book. And I think that's kind of what affected my experience with the book. So I think that if I was to give the book a reread, it would probably be higher. Maybe we'll give it a high 3.5 stars, but just like the way circumstances played out, like that was my experience with the book. But I do know just deep in my heart that it is better than the experience I had with it. But it's like, it's up to you to decide. So the next book I'm gonna be reading is the second book in the Bridge Kingdom series, which is Traitor Queen. And I am so excited. I'm going to explode. Yeah, so I'm really excited. That's what I'm gonna read next. So if you're interested in watching me read The Traitor Queen or really any other book that happens to be on my Never Ending TBR, go ahead and subscribe, because these are the types of books that I talk about on this channel, as well as really just book stuff in general. So if you like book stuff in general, like me too. And so with that, I'm going to wish you warm wishes and fish kisses, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!